Hi, this is Dr. Cora Stack here. I wanted just to make a few points about. I'm interested in education, higher education, and curriculum design, and mathematics education, and in particular in the importance of having suitable and appropriate curriculums in a coherent system right across the education system, from primary right up to second and third level and so on. And there's been major changes proposed by the Irish government about the introduction of continuous assessment into the senior cycle. And there is a dispute between the unions and the government. The TUI, the Teachers Union of Ireland, seem to have accepted the government proposals, but the ASTI, Association of Secondary Teachers, are against it. Now, my position is that some project work and some continuous assessment is useful and beneficial for learning. And let me explain this in a little short abstract that I wrote, and why perhaps a middle ground is needed, but I think more on the ASTI position. But certainly I wouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater. There is some merit in what the government are proposing, but certainly I think that administratively too much, it's way too much, expecting 40% continuous assessment will work and will lead to a system that's internationally best, worldwide, or anything near it. So just let me read out what I have sent to a few policymakers, and thankfully they have acknowledged that this work that I did. So the title of my abstract is Reimagining Student Engagement in Mathematics, Fostering Mathematical Identity. We all have to do this at some stage. Through self-directed project-based assessment, implications for AI in education, and a response to recent reform of the Irish second level mathematics curriculum 2025. And I just have something in preparation here. So this paper explores a body of work I initiated in 2008 with engineering students, which stemmed from a recurring question they would pose in class. What is the real use of this mathematics? They were referring quite reasonably to the abstract nature of the core curriculum subjects such as algebra, calculus, and probability, and statistics, and so on. This question has lingered in my mind for some time. Before, once they asked that question, I thought, let me think about it. So I've been thinking about it for a number of years, about how best to support students to, listen to what they were saying, and how would I respond to this, something they were saying was missing in their education. What would be the best way to respond? So I had been thinking about it for several years, about how best to support students in understanding both the practical value of mathematics and how it connects with other STEM disciplines. I also wanted to improve their engagement and conceptual understanding by making mathematics appear more relevant and personally meaningful. It occurred to me that the rigidity there's another word that I was used here as well. Just have I got it here? And the prescriptive. Oh yes, that was a big word in my thinking. Prescriptive nature. That was very much my word. The rigidity and prescriptive. My thinking. Prescriptive nature of traditional mathematics curricula might be preventing students from expressing their individual perspectives and identities. The unique way in which each learner internalises mathematical ideas. Some students, for instance, relate more easily to algebraic and logical structures, while others grasp mathematical concepts more clearly through geometry, visualization, or real-world application. So in response, I introduced a self-directed project-based assessment model beginning around 2008 and continuing, around 2016, 2017 was the last time I did this, but I did it for several years, starting around 2008. And the model allowed students to explore a concept of their own choosing provided it related to a topic addressed within the core curriculum of the specific mathematics module we were covering, and using any resources available to them, and to investigate one or more STEM-related applications, particularly within engineering, science or technology. I also encourage students to include, if they wished, any historical perspectives in mathematics, an area which is often neglected due to time constraints in the core curriculum. The impact was significant and resoundingly, I'd say, positive. Across multiple cohorts, students reported that this open model, individualised approach enhanced their understanding, deepened their engagement and helped them see clear connections between core mathematical ideas and their other fields of study. This is what I found very inspiring, encouraging, that they were able to link through the projects they themselves chose. They were able to link what they were doing in mathematics to other areas in engineering and see those links, and those links then strengthened their, not just their understanding of the mathematics, but the other subjects where the mathematics was used. So I found that very, that kind of struck out to me as fantastic, a fantastic outcome of this work. The students were, themselves found these connections rather than somebody finding it for them. So this to me is the mathematical identity working through this kind of project work that I introduced, and I hadn't seen it anywhere else in the world in this way, so I thought I was the first to introduce this type of self-directed project work. So I emphasised originality, that was very important, and personal interpretation. And the reason this is that I didn't want, to get the same project, over and over again. So I had concerns about plagiarism, even at a time when such concerns were already growing. These projects became increasingly sophisticated over time, particularly among senior students who had a strong mathematical foundation. While I only allocated a small portion of the overall continuous assessment to these projects, careful not to detract from the core curriculum, the impact on learning and motivation was consistently positive. Students not only mastered the core content, but often exceeded. Indeed, they exceeded expectations, and this was, when I showed projects to other colleagues, they were actually very surprised at the quality of the work that was produced, partly because of the insights and connections gained through their project work. My own interpretation of mathematical identity was how I looked at it. It centres on the unique lens through which each student understands and relates to mathematics. I mean, you could have that, say that about English, or when someone writes an English essay, they write it through their understanding of language, their understanding of the world through that lens. So I felt that this was a way of, opening up mathematics to that wider kind of part of the mind, which could help the development of the conceptual understanding of mathematics and its relevance through this unique project work that I introduced in 2008. I hadn't seen anyone else in the world that had done this, so I thought it was original and unique, but it wasn't. It was, I thought, I'd try it out and see how it would work. So this is what happened. My interpretation of mathematical identity centres on the unique lens through which each student understands and relates to mathematics. I believe this project-based approach nurtures that identity, offering students an opportunity to find personal meaning, deepen conceptual understanding and experience moments of intellectual discovery. This resonates with growing international research that emphasises the role of identity in shaping attitudes towards mathematics, particularly among unrepresented groups. Now, other researchers, for example, in St. Patrick's College, Drumcondra, had looked at it from teachers, mathematical identity from teachers' experience, but that's not the way I was looking at it. I had a completely different view of what it was in terms of what I looked at, my definition. So it was completely different to what they were doing in St. Patrick's in Drumcondra at the time. So recent changes to Irish second level mathematics curriculum, particularly the move to assign 40% of the final grade to continuous assessment right across the board on all subjects, that's up to 7-8 subjects for some people, or offer both an opportunity and a challenge. While the intention to diversify assessment methods is commendable, a one-size-fits-all policy risks introducing undue pressure and administrative burden, especially without sufficient support for innovative or flexible assessment models. Based on my experience, a more balanced approach where perhaps 10 to 15, you might even go up to 20%, but I would certainly keep it below 20, definitely, of assessment is dedicated to directed or exploratory, say, mathematical projects would likely provide the desired benefits without overburdening students or teachers, or in particular devaluing the integrity of the assessment process. In addition, it seems to me that much of this work could be carried out during transition year. That's the year between the junior cert and the formal leaving cert. There's no reason why, I've heard of many times where there's great work done in some schools in transition year, and other times, it's a relaxing year. But there's no reason why this year couldn't be a mixture of relaxation and doing these kind of project works nice and gently, and leaving the further 2 years for formal assessment. So what I'm suggesting is, yes, there is an argument that putting all the pressure in one exam is too much, and I think then you could put some formal assessment. I'm suggesting you could say 40-60, but I'm actually saying 30-70 might be better. So there is an argument for formal assessment of 30% examination at the end of year 5. That's formal, 5th year, and 70% at the end of 6th year, final year, both externally moderated. This is the big thing that the teachers are very, they don't want to go down the street and meet the parents and have the parents shout at them because, so-and-so didn't get an A, etc. And Ireland is very local, and this could actually happen, and there could be bullying or pressure for, and to increase, grades and have all of this grade inflation. So I completely understand where the teachers are coming from. However, having supervised this work over many years, having it in every subject could create huge problems for the education system, which is what the ASTI are seeing, and I'd absolutely agree with them. And skills learned in doing project work in a maximum of 2 or 3, I have 3 here, but it could be 2 or 3 subjects for the Leaving Cert, could deliver just as much, if not more, value than completely overwhelming the system with 40% right across the board. So I'm arguing here that what is being proposed is ill-advised, perhaps unworkable, perhaps well-intentioned, and that less is more should be the mantra for proper and informed policy, given my experience. Moreover, such an approach has the potential to develop transferable skills that are increasingly vital in a rapidly evolving educational technological landscape. These include critical thinking, communication, research literacy, and interdisciplinary reasoning competencies, not easily captured through standardised tests alone. More than ever, mathematics curriculum education must move beyond procedural fluency to empower students as creative and critical users of not just quantitative and qualitative knowledge. But yes, and finally, then I addressed the growing role of AI in assessment presents both opportunities and challenges. This is a huge problem that the teachers' unions are saying, and I agree with it. I absolutely agree that I've heard of stories that would be frightening in terms of if one knew what some students are doing with AI. While generative AI tools raise valid concerns about academic integrity, they also offer potential as learning aids, mentors, and idea generators within self-directed projects, if appropriately guided. Future work will need to address how AI can be ethically and effectively incorporated into project-based assessment without undermining student ownership, creativity, and authenticity. You see, the idea is really I think the ideas, this is an issue, are the ideas, are the ownership. This is very important in plagiarism. Are the ideas, the owners, are the owners of the ideas, are they the person that's using the AI, or the AI ideas? So that's very important to be able to see. We need something to be able to establish that fact. In fact, teaching students how to critically evaluate, question, and build upon AI generated outputs outputs could itself become a valuable form of mathematical literacy in the 21st century. And then I just say at the end of that I'm the 2025 winner of the Ramanujan Memorial Award for Excellence in Academic Leadership, honouring visionary leadership and outstanding achievements in academia and education. So actually, just to the last, all of those things are my ideas, and I've just put that into AI for grammatical correction and just just paragraphs, just to move it into paragraphs. And I think this, in fact, teaching students how to critically evaluate, question, build upon AI generate outputs could itself become a valuable form of mathematical literacy in the 21st century. That I did not actually, that is what AI produced out of, as a kind of a, filling out that little bit was done with AI. So I said this abstract has been edited with the assistant of AI, but that's the only bit really that's been done about AI. So I would say this is a very ethical use of AI here. And but the points there are all my own. It's all my own points and my own reflections. And so there are huge challenges and opportunities with AI, and I certainly think that what the Irish policymakers are doing with the Leaving Cert is, I think it'll completely overburden the system, and it will lead to a huge amount of unnecessary plagiarism. And I don't think that will help the integrity of the system. It could lead to huge issues with regard to grade inflation. And I think there is a middle ground, or there is some flexibility in terms of having some project work, but not the overwhelming 40%. I think is I actually don't think it's suitable for the Irish education model, and I think it's a mistake. So it's ill-informed and it's misguided in my opinion, but that's just a personal opinion. So that's my latest reflections on current Irish mathematical education policy.